Hi students, this is Ram Mohan from Government Junior College, Kachiguda. In first year Indian history, the third chapter, Buddhism. In the last class, we studied socio-religious movements in 6th century BC. In 6th century BC, we found many religions were originated, almost 62. Among all, Jainism and Buddhism got importance across the world. Jainism also we studied. Now moving to the next important religion, Buddhism. Gautama Buddha was the founder of Buddhism. He was the greatest and noblest teacher. He was considered light of Asia and light of the world. Moving to life of the Buddha, actually his real name was Siddhartha. He was born in 563 BC at Lumbini Vanam in Kapilavastu kingdom. The king of Kapilavastu was Shuddhodana and his mother Maya Devi. He lost his mother on the 7th day of his birth. His stepmother Gautami Prajapati, she only brought him up with great affection. Later, Siddhartha was considered as Gautama Buddha also. His life was changed because of these 4 incidents. The 4 incidents which was taken place in Kapilavastu, after watching these 4 incidents, there was a rapid change in the life of Siddhartha. When he was as a prince of Kapilavastu, he learned all subjects, warfare, even though he didn't give any satisfaction. When he watched 4 incidents in his life, the first one, suffering of old man. Second one, sick man. Third one, a dead body. Fourth one, an ascetic. After watching the first 3 incidents, he did not get any satisfaction or he did not get any idea. But after watching the 4th incident, ascetic, a sage, on his face, he observed the satisfaction, he observed the wisdom, knowledge, everything on his face. So that to know each and everything, to know about his thoughts, he left home at the age of 29. At the age of 19, he got married with Yashodhara. They got Rahul as his son. And he left home at the age of 29. That incident was considered here Mahabhinishkramana, great renunciation. So, to know the problems, to know the misery of life, after watching the 4 incidents, he took a great decision, that is Mahabhinishkramana, at the age of 29. This Mahabhinishkramana, this realized here that the world is full of sorrow, and the ascetic life, the sage life only suitable to find out the cause and remedy of sorrow. Therefore, one night, Siddhartha left home at the age of 29. This incident was considered in Buddhism, that is a great renunciation, Mahabhinishkramana. After Mahabhinishkramana, means after he left home, he wandered almost 6 years. He met great teachers, great gurus. He learnt different science subjects, different shastras, but even though he did not get any knowledge, any satisfaction from them. He learned shastras and philosophy under Rudrali Ramaputra, and he practiced ascetic life in Rajagruha, even though he did not satisfy. After 6 years of his wandering life and life of austerity, then he went to Gaya, and where he did meditation under People Tree. After 49 days of deep meditation, he received supreme knowledge. That is considered here Sambodhi or Gnanodaya or enlightenment. So at the age of 35, he got enlightenment. At the age of 29, he left home. At the age of 35, now he got enlightenment. So 6 years he wandered, and after that, 49 days of deep meditation, then he got enlightenment. This incident made Siddhartha as Gautama Buddha. Now he is learned man. He got wisdom. He got enlightenment. Then Siddhartha now turned into Buddha. He got the titles Buddha, Tathagata also. Because of stepmother name Gautami, now Gautama Buddha. Siddhartha changed into Gautama Buddha. And after enlightenment, he gave first speech in Varanasi, the place Saranath. In Saranath, one deer park is there, Mrugadavana. In that park, in that vanam, he gave the first speech. This first speech is called Dharmachakra Parivartana. Here he gave speech to 5 disciples. These disciples, once upon a time, these 5 members were where he studied under Rudrali Ramaputra. They're all friends. These 5 friends now made into 5 principles, 5 disciples. These 5 disciples of Gautama Buddha, the first speech they listened and they propagated after Dharmachakra Parivartana. This incident took place in Saranath, and where afterwards the King Ashoka built a beautiful stupa in the memory of Gautama Buddha first speech or Dharmachakra Parivartana. He toured almost 45 years all over North India. He gave speeches and he preached Bauddha Dharma to the kings. There was no difference between king and common man. He preached each and every person. He preached Gautama Buddha Upadeshas to everyone to expand the Bauddha Dharma. He made the disciples, he made the people into disciples. And afterwards, at the age of 80, in 483 BC, he died. Means Buddha attained Nirvana. This Nirvana is called Mahaparinirvana, where you see Mahaparinirvana has been taken place in Kushinagara, okay, at Kushinagara in Bihar. So there are 5 incidents in Buddha's life. One is birth. Second one is Mahabhinishkramana. He left home. Third one, enlightenment. He got enlightenment in Gaya. Fourth one, Dharmachakra Parivartana, where he gave first speech. in Saranath, and the fifth incident, Mahaparinirvana, where he died, that is Kushinagara. There are five important incidents in Buddha's life, and these five incidents also, each incident has one symbol: lotus, horse, tree. Fourth one, Saranath, stupa. Dharmachakra Parivartana, that is Dharmachakra. Fifth one, Sanchi Stupa or Stupa. These are the five incidents have great importance in Buddha's life. Each incident resemble here one symbol. So now we are going to learn the important teachings of Gautama Buddha. First, he advocated four noble truths. These noble truths are called Arya Satyas. The first one, the world is full of sorrow, that is dukkha. In the world, wherever you go, you find dukkha only. Without sorrow, there is no place. Every suffering has a cause. So, every suffering has definitely a cause. Without cause, there is no suffering. Third one, the cause is the desire. So, we can control our desires by following Ashtanga Marga, that is fourth one. There are four noble truths. The world is full of sorrow. Every suffering has a cause. The cause is the desire. And the fourth one, by following eightfold path, we can control our desires, our dukkha, our sorrows. These are the teachings initially he preached. Later, he made different principles also. By following Ashtanga Marga, one can attain. There are 8 margas. To attain moksha, each and every Buddha, monk or saint or disciple definitely follow these 8 margas. The one is right vision, right aim, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right awareness, right meditation. There are 8 margas, 8 fold path, which was provided by Gautama Buddha to attain moksha. So, king to common man, each and every person should attain moksha by following Ashtanga Marga only. Now, moving to language and literature in Buddhism, you see. After Gautama Buddha, this religion was divided into 2 sets. One is Hinayana, another one is Mahayana. In Hinayana, Gautama Buddha was treated as a guru. Mahayana, Gautama Buddha was treated and considered as a god. That is the basic difference between Hina and Mahayana. Hinayana means small vehicle, Mahayana means big vehicle. And here, Hinayana, Gautama Buddha was considered as a guru. He preached, he taught the principles, the dharma to everyone. So that these people, this group of people, consider here only guru. But Mahayana, later this set also spreaded into the world. And here, Mahayana, Mahayanism, Buddha was considered a god. Like Hinduism, here also, Buddha, the people offered here puja, and they offered lamps, they lit lamps also, they offered pujas. Like Hinduism, Mahayana Buddha also, the cult also spreaded and worshipped and followed. And the language and literature you observed here, Buddha gave the speech, Buddha gave dharma in the common language, the public language, which is Pali, later Prakrit. The Sanskrit only official language, it only accepted by the Brahmins. Non-Brahmins could not follow what Veda says, what Brahmin says. That was the common people easily attracted Buddhism and what Gautama Buddha says here. So the common language makes the people to attract Buddhism. They easily understood what Gautama Buddha says, what Buddhism says, and what the principles for teaching everything. That's what Pali and Prakrit, common language of the people, and easily it patronized by kings and later on different dynasties. Later on, the chief of the ministers, everybody easily converted into Buddhism and they spread it like anything. The literature you see here, there are Hinayana and Mahayana literature. First, Tripitakas, the sacred books of Buddhism, Tripitaka. Three Pitakas means three books here. Sutta Pitaka, Vinaya Pitaka, Abhidhamma Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka consists of the original teachings of Gautama Buddha. It was composed by Ananda, the disciple of Gautama Buddha. Second one, Vinaya Pitaka, which was composed by Upali, the orders of Buddhist Sangha. The orders, the practices, customs of each Sangha was composed here by Upali. Later on, they added one more Pitaka to this, that is Abhidhamma Pitaka, which was composed by Moggali Puttatissa. Here, metaphysics and psychology added to this Pitaka. There are three Pitakas which were considered as the sacred, the holy books of Buddhism. The partial Buddhist literature also we can find, that is Milinda Panaha and Ceylon literature. Milinda Panaha, this book consists of here the discussion between Nagasena, a Buddhist monk, and Menander, one Greek king. The conversation between Nagasena and the king Menander, it was composed in Milinda Panaha. The conversation is composed in Milinda Panaha between the Nagasena and Menander. Next, Ceylon literature, that is Sri Lanka literature, the sacred books of Sri Lanka, Deepavamsha and Mahavamsha. These books also giving information about the literature of Buddhism, especially Hinayana literature. Moving to literature, Vaipulya Sutras are considered the sacred books of Mahayanism. Sudharma Pandarikam, Madhyamika, Shunyavada, these are the ideologies added to Mahayana literature, especially the Acharya Nagarjuna, who was the chief responsible person to spread the Mahayanism into the world. His writings help a lot, especially in Shatavahana time. He wrote wonderful books, Madhyamika Sutra, Prajna Paramita, Sruhalleka. Because of his ideology, his teachings, he was considered as Martin Luther King of India and Indian Einstein also. The great scientist, great writer, great poet. That's what he was considered with great peace. He spreaded the Mahayana Buddhism. That's what in the memory of Acharya Nagarjuna, the Shatavahana king, Yagnasri Shatakarni built a wonderful stupa in Nagarjuna Konda. That is Nagarjuna Stupa. Still we can find in Nagarjuna Sagar. Next one, the important topic, what Buddhism contributed to Indian culture. Indian culture, mix of different religions, cultures. Not only one religion here, we have many religions, many sects, and many groups. So, because of Buddhism, the doors are opened for Shudras and women. Shudras are not considered, not encouraged by Vedic literature, and women also restricted to only household responsibilities. When Buddhism spreaded, when Buddhism offered here, women participated actively. Even Shudras also converted into Buddhism and they spreaded the ideology of Gautama Buddha. The second one, Ahimsa, non-violence, which was promoted by great leaders like Mahatma Gandhi. This was adopted by Jainism and Buddhism, that is Ahimsa. No injury, no injury, no harm to any creatures, any human beings. This was also adopted by Buddhism. Later on, trade and commerce also developed. In the time of Vedic period, you see the sea trade restricted, foreign trade also restricted. There were no exports and imports. Now Buddhism helped to trade and commerce over the sea route, and foreign trade also encouraged here. So Vaishyas played a crucial role to improve the trade and commerce because of Buddhism. So Buddhism gave and contributed to trade and commerce also, which was flourished by the third category, Vaishyas. And awareness, Buddhism brought back here the awareness in the field of intellect and culture. You see, in Vedic period, the meaningless sacrifices, the meaningless rituals, customs, traditions, the common man followed. But into Buddhism, there are the principles, very useful principles. They could understand the meaning of the principles. They followed the ahimsa very easy way so that it connected to each and every one. So bring awareness among the people. Intellectual ideas could be developed here. The culture could be reached each and every corner so that it promoted easily rationalism. By knowing the reason, we can do work. Without thinking, without knowing the reason, we could not follow the rituals and sacrifices blindly. And Buddhism broke the isolation. It opens the doors to everyone. So it broke the isolation. Indus Valley civilization, Vedic civilization, you see, especially later Vedic period, our trade and commerce, our life and society isolated. There is no open window policy. Now Buddhism broke the isolation policy. It opens the door to everyone. It opened the door to trade and commerce so that it easily spreaded, it easily, okay, what you call practiced everywhere. And next one, residential universities also established here because of Buddhism. Nalanda University, Vikramashila University, Vallabhi University, and later on Nagarjuna University, Vikramashila, Uddandapuri. They're all great universities were established by only Buddhists. Nalanda University, in the time of Harsha, it attracted here not only Indians, entire world, especially Chinese, who came here, who visited here, and who studied here in Nalanda University, which is the biggest university in the world. It attracted foreign students. It exported our culture. It translated so many books in foreign languages also. Great visitors, great pilgrims like Huyan Sang and Fayan, later on Ising also, they came and studied in Nalanda University. So residential universities also promoted, encouraged, built by the great Buddhist saints and Buddhist kings. Moving to art and architecture of Buddhism, stupas. Buddhists here promoted stupa architecture, especially you see on screen Sanchi Stupa, which was the biggest stupa in the world, built by the great Ashoka. Later on, they constructed across the world 80,000 stupas. To promote Buddhism, Ashoka sent his own son and daughter, and he appointed Dharma Mahamatras to spread the Buddhist principles, the Bauddha Dharma. Even the cave architecture also developed in Bara Hills, we can see now, and Nasik, Karle, Kanheri stupas also, like Sanchi style, they built. And in Telugu states, you see Battiprolu, Dhanyakataka, Kotilingala, Dhulikatta, Kondapur, Nagarjunakonda, Panigiri, Kotilingala. So great stupas you can locate Nelakondapalli. Okay, come across Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, we can find number of stupas built by Buddhists. And the most important in art and architecture, that is Gandhara architecture. This Gandhara architecture developed by Buddhism only because of Greek style, Roman style, mix of Indian style, Greek style, and Roman style. Here we can see the Buddhist sculpture, the Buddhist idols in a different shape, the curly hair, muscles, the standing position, sitting, standing, and in a way of sleeping also. Different postures we can observe in Gandhara architecture in Buddhist stupa, in Buddhist figure. Now, the 5 great symbols already we studied, the icons of the 5 great events in Buddha's life. The first one, birth, is symbolized in lotus. The birth of life, the life of Buddha starts with birth. It was shown as here lotus. Second one, incident in Buddha's life, Mahabhinishkramana, great renunciation. It was symbolized here horse, because by horse only he left home and reached where he wanted to go. Sambodhi, where he got enlightenment. Bodhi tree, it was symbolized as Bodhi tree, where he got enlightenment, where he got Gnanodaya. The fourth one, Dharmachakra Parivartana, the first speech of Gautama Buddha in Saranath. It was symbolized here as wheel. Dharmachakra, that is wheel, fourth incident in Buddha's life. And fifth one, Mahaparinirvana, stupa. So the death of Gautama Buddha was symbolized here, stupa. There were 5 great events and symbols in Buddha's life: birth, Mahabhinishkramana, Sambodhi, Dharmachakra Parivartana, and Mahaparinirvana. This is Buddhism, Bauddha Matam or Buddhism. So given the rational thinking, the contributed different ideologies, the language, literature to the world. Because of Buddhism, our Indian culture promoted each and everywhere, every part of the world. Especially Maurya king Ashoka, later Guptas, Harsha. These are the important kings who promoted, who patronized here Buddhism, and they promoted Buddhism into the world. Okay, this is Buddhism. Thank you all.